Hi, I'm Mike Ryan, the Executive Director of the Board of Elections in the City of New York. Thank you for watching this training video about how to operate the ballot marking devices at our poll sites, commonly referred to as BMDs. The BMD allows many of our voters with visual, manual dexterity, cognitive, and other disabilities to vote independently on Election Day. Your knowledge and help as a BMD inspector may make the difference that allows some voters to mark their own ballots and vote with dignity. Thank you for your service to the voters of the City of New York. We cannot do this without you.
Every voter has the right to use the BMD to mark their ballot, including voters with disabilities. This video will show you how to use all the features and accessories to ensure that every voter has the opportunity to participate in every election. As a BMD inspector, you'll need to know how to use the many features and accessories so that you can assist voters or offer instruction if needed. Voters have the right to be helped by a personal assistant that they bring with them, as long as that assistant is not also their employer or a union representative. The voter may request that you assist them with some of the tasks described in this video. Take your lead from the voter about how much support they want, and be respectful of the fact that most people prefer to vote as independently as possible. When the voter arrives at the BMD, their first step is to insert their paper ballot into the BMD feed tray. The BMD will then ask for the voter to select their language preference. They can navigate through the process using the keypad, touchscreen, sip and puff, and/or rocker paddles. The keypad also has Braille. If the voter doesn't use Braille, they may ask you where each control is located. At this point, the voter will decide how they want to view their ballot: visual, audible, or both. The BMD has 4 main types of features and accessories that the voter can use to review the choices on the ballot and to guide them through the voting process in multiple languages. Those are color screen, zoom text, high contrast, or audio output with headphones. The color screen is the default mode. As voters scroll through their ballots on the color screen, their location is indicated by yellow highlighting. Selecting a highlighted candidate will place a green checkmark in the box next to that candidate's name. Voters who have low vision will often choose one of the other screen features. On the bottom of the default color screen are 2 buttons that enable voters to switch to the zoom text option and the high contrast option. The zoom text option allows voters to enlarge the text on the screen to make their choices easier to read. The high contrast option allows voters to switch to black text on a white background or to white text on a black background. The BMD can also read the ballot aloud to voters through headphones.
Next contest, delegates to the Judicial Convention. Vote for any 5.
The headphones are stored inside the BMD cabinet. They can be plugged in on the lower left-hand side of the front input panel of the BMD just below the keypad. Earpad covers are also provided with the headphones. Each voter who chooses to use these should be given a new, clean set of covers. Voters who choose audio with headphones can adjust the volume and tempo, which is the speed of the screen reader's voice. They can also repeat audio instructions using the keypad. If the voter has any problems using the headphones, you may assist them to make sure that everything is plugged in, aligned, and working properly. Now, the voter will decide what type of BMD features or accessories they want to use to scroll through their ballot and mark their selections. There are 4 different functions and accessories available: touchscreen, keypad with Braille, rocker paddle, or sip and puff device, or the voter's own personal device. The touchscreen and keypad do not require any setup. Pressing any selection or command on the touchscreen will execute it. For example, touching the candidate's name will select that candidate on the ballot. The voter can use their fingers or a stylus, which can be found in the BMD cart. If the voter prefers to use the keypad, pressing the up, down, back, or forward buttons will move the highlight in that direction. The center Select button will mark that choice or execute that command if the highlight is over a navigation control button. A voter with limited physical ability or muscle control may prefer to use the rocker paddle. The rocker paddle has two buttons, Yes, which is also Select, and No, which is also Scroll. The voter may push these buttons with their feet, hands, or other body parts. The rocker paddle setup is very easy. You simply plug it into the receptacle in the bottom right-hand corner of the input panel and give it to the voter. The rocker paddle is especially useful for voters who have limited physical ability or muscle control. To scroll through the ballot using the rocker paddle, the voter will press the No or Scroll button to move the highlight to the next possible selection. The Yes or Select button is then used to select the highlighted option. When a candidate or issue selection is made, the voter should always verify that a check mark appears in the box next to that choice. This assures that the BMD will properly record that selection before it marks the final ballot. Repeatedly pressing the No or Scroll button will continue to advance the cursor through the ballot by scrolling down, then across the options at the bottom, and then back to the top until the voter presses the Yes or Select button while the cursor is stopped on the Back, Next, or Exit button. The Sip and Puff device is a mouthpiece the voter can use to control the BMD as it marks their ballot. The voter will navigate through the ballot by sipping and puffing. Sips are short inhaling breaths through the straw. Puffs are short exhaling breaths. The voter may bring their own sip and puff device. If they prefer to use the BOE provided sip and puff device, you'll locate one of the sealed packets that contains all of the disposable parts. The packets are located inside the BMD cart. Take the black cord out of the large parts packet. Insert one end into the lower right-hand corner of the BMD machine's input panel under the keypad. Insert the other end into the sip and puff unit, which is a white box. Then, return the connected unit to the right-hand side of the machine. Next, locate the Air Voter disposable mouthpiece package from the packet and place it, unopened, on the right-hand side of the sip and puff unit. This is the mouthpiece the voter will use to operate the BMD in order to mark their ballot. Once you have the sip and puff unit set up, hand the Air Voter disposable mouthpiece package to the voter's personal assistant. If the voter didn't bring a personal assistant, your bipartisan team will assist the voter. Remove the sterile gloves from the Air Voter disposable mouthpiece packet, touching only the open ends of the gloves. These gloves help to ensure that the voter will receive a sterile device to put into their mouth. Next, with your gloves on, remove the sip and puff mouthpiece from the plastic bag. Attach the plastic tube to the mouthpiece. Attach the sip and puff straw to the side of the headset using the Velcro strap. Gently place the fully assembled device around the voter's ear and the straw into the voter's mouth. The voter will now begin using the BMD, which is a fairly simple process. First, the voter will select their preferred language with sipping and puffing inputs. Sips are short inhaling breaths through the straw. Puffs are short exhaling breaths. Sipping moves the highlight to the next item on the screen, which will then be highlighted. Sipping is like pressing the No button when using the rocker paddle. Puffing is like pressing the Yes button. Voting with this device is a fairly simple process. Sipping moves the highlight to the next selection. Puffing marks the voter's selection or selects the highlighted screen command. Voters will mark all of their selections by sipping and puffing. When the More bar is highlighted, sipping scrolls up or down in the direction of the arrows. Sipping repeatedly moves the highlight down the screen, across the command options row along the bottom, and then the selection loops back to the top. When the voter is finished making selections on any screen, they will sip repeatedly until the Next command button is highlighted, and then puff to move to the next screen. As with all other input methods, when making candidate or issue selections using the device, voters should make sure that the check mark appears in the box next to each desired selection. This ensures that their ballot will be properly marked. If the voter is unfamiliar with using the sip and puff accessory, you can offer them instructions. If they don't need instruction, just step away from the BMD when they're ready so that they can vote privately. Regardless of how the candidates are selected, there are two functions that work basically the same way: adding write-in candidates and changing a selected candidate. For write-in candidates, voters will select the candidate named write-in. An on-screen keyboard will appear and the voter will use the pop-up keyboard to type the name of their preferred write-in candidate. Then they will select OK to accept it. To change any selection that's already been entered, the voter can highlight that candidate again and deselect them. Then they can select and mark their preferred choice. Once the voter has completed selecting their candidates, they will highlight the Next button. This will bring up the confirmation screen, which allows the voter to view or hear all of their selections and to verify them before ejecting their final marked ballot for scanning. Their ballot will be marked and ejected from the BMD. Wait until it is fully ejected before removing the ballot. The marked ballot can then be placed in a privacy sleeve by their assistant or by you if requested. Finally, the voter will take their marked ballot to one of the ballot scanners as their last task before leaving the voting area. It's worth mentioning that some voters prefer to use the BMD to avoid making mistakes, because the BMD has the ability to catch most of the typical errors voters make. For that reason, the BMD can be very helpful for all voters, including voters with cognitive or intellectual disabilities, and even for voters who are just having a bad day. To ensure the voter's privacy, BMDs are typically placed where their screen faces a wall. It is important that the BMD screen is at least 5 feet from the wall to give the voter ample room. According to the Americans with Disabilities Act, there should not be anything placed in the 5 feet between the wall and the BMD. Please provide a chair if the voter requests one, but do not leave the chair facing the BMD. There should also be 5 feet of clearance on one side of the BMD with doors open, so that the voter has enough room to turn the corner. As with all voters, it is important that all poll workers, including the BMD inspectors, respect the privacy of voters using the BMD. No one should stand where they can see the voter's screen while they use the BMD, unless the voter has specifically requested that someone stand next to them. If you have any questions about using the AutoMark BMD, you can email the Board of Elections office at adavideo@boe.nyc.
It is your hard work and attention to these details that will ensure all voters in the City of New York can vote independently. We are grateful for your work as a BMD inspector, and we look forward to seeing you on Election Day.